My name's John,
And my name's Connor.
and we are off timeline. Today, we're talking about Superman and the Mole Man or Mole Men from 1951.
It's the 50s. Superman's out here and he's ready for action.
Yeah, Superman is portrayed by George Reeves at this point. He's not the first person that acted as Superman. There was a dude that did it a little bit earlier in movie serials. Those were popular at the time, from what I'm discovering. But George did it in the first motion picture. George Reeves has a super crazy backstory as well. And we will get into that later, though. First, I just want to focus on the movie.
The opening starts off with this really iconic sort of intro to Superman. He's from an alien planet that's been destroyed, and he's here on Earth, and he's stronger than everybody else.
Yeah, the origin story, right? They always give it to you no matter what Superman movie it is or cartoon or whatever. They always want to show you Krypton blowing up with a spaceship flying away from it.
just to make you relate to him.
Yeah, or just to make you realize, he is an alien, but he's at least on Earth. So Clark, man, I would say, we jump right into it. Lois and Clark are going to an oil field. I'd say what's coolest about this movie is that Clark Kent, to me, is the first real, fully fleshed out alter ego that we've been able to see so far.
Yeah, totally. Like when they pulled up there and you see Clark Kent doing his thing and you're like, well, that's Superman. It's a completely different vibe than what we saw like in the shadow.
Yeah, definitely. And Superman on that same vibe is definitely the first real superhero, right? It's in the name. He's got powers. He's actually superhuman. So that's cool too, man.
He's strong.
Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, well, it's got to be true. This is the first feature film of any DC character. Superman beats out Batman in that regard. I don't know. I guess you'd think they'd rather have done a Batman show because he doesn't have any powers.
Yeah, but I think it was also the we had seen the detectives, the noir kind of movies before, and I think what we see in this one, like there's all those like cool cuts at the beginning in the intro, and then at some point like the mole men have that weapon that's just a big chrome like 50s death ray.
Yeah, at the very end, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. It was like just like a vacuum, a shop vac with like a tube on it and a satellite dish, but it looks pretty sick.
Yeah, it's like they got a fire extinguisher like painted it chrome and then like
Yeah, it's amazing what you can get away with in black and white. I swear. I think if we saw half these black and white movies in color, we would just think, oh man, this is so shitty. Like, look at these costumes and sets and everything.
I mean, like, yeah, like that's true. Like, it's cool because everything with like the cheesy effects, like when they actually shoot the weapon, it's just like little blasts of like light, all lame, and the guy's
Yeah.
just in the back, all cheesy, like, "No, stop it!"
Yeah, it doesn't kill him. It just slowly inflicts pain on him.
It's
Even
like
worse.
irradiating him or something.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get cancer later on in life.
Grow like a third arm in
Yeah,
his back.
a third ball and an extra leg. Wink.
Yeah, and you can see the future.
Yeah, you can see the future. Um, on top of everything, Lois Lane's
Yeah.
in there. And do you think this is a good Lois?
Oh yeah, dude. I love Lois here. Like Lois gets there and she's just like pissed, dude, because she didn't get that scoop. It's always about that scoop for Lois, like in every single timeline.
Yeah, if Lois Lane isn't a total bitch to Clark, then they're either married already or they're just doing the movie's doing something wrong.
There's like that part, I think it's like 25 minutes into the movie where he first like runs off to be Superman. She's like, "Oh, that's just like him." Like he gets into a mess and then he just runs away.
Yeah, I remember watching the old Fleischer, I think that's how you say their name, cartoons of Superman, which are pretty cool, very art deco. And Superman and Lois in those, like Clark is mistreated
so badly by Lois. Like she's just talking shit
Really?
about him. Yeah. Total no respect, calls him like basically a simp and a cuck. You know what I mean? Anything that's bad. He's just not a man.
Jeez.
Not a man at all. Not in her eyes, at least. This is like definitely a step above that. She's not super angry, but she's definitely not happy to be around him.
Yeah, like I mean, I thought they worked pretty well as a team. Like she's all like, "Oh, well, what do I do here?" And he's just like, "I don't know, like take some pictures." Like, you know what I mean? It's like just pull out your camera, take a couple pictures.
Yeah.
But,
Clark's definitely a little bit of a sarcastic asshole, I guess, in this one.
well, yeah, a little bit.
George Reeves, though, I thought it was a really good Clark. I thought,
Dude, that's Superman. That's Clark Kent, dude. That's like the
yeah,
perfect portrayal.
I think so. And it's crazy how of being like a fan, you know, watching these newer programs and then not having ever seen anything of his. I don't know what suit they got on him to make him look huge in a good way, but it works, man.
Maybe it's just the black and white.
Maybe it's just the black and white. It's just another illusion. But yeah, he's mild mannered, but he's funny. He looks like it, you know. And
Yep.
I felt like the transformation from Clark to Superman was enough. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, like everyone always says, he's just taking off his glasses. But it was definitely a difference enough that it was cool.
Yeah, there's something about his delivery where he is genuinely mild mannered when he's Clark, but like there's something like maybe that's also the black and white. You pay like more attention to people's faces. Like there's something different that happens to his face. You know what I mean? He puts on like a different face when he's Superman.
Acting, I think that's what that's called.
Oh,
So back to the plot, right? They're at an oil well, like we said. There's some cowboy guy. I thought he was a sheriff for the longest part of the
oh
movie,
yeah.
but I think
He
he's
is
just
the sheriff. He's just old timey, man.
no. There's a sheriff, but there's the guy with the cowboy hat. I think he just works for the oil well.
The old man.
No, not the old man, the middle-aged man. It's the guy that when they first meet, and he tells them, "We dug 32,000 feet below," and they're just like, "Oh
Oh,
my god!" Which I don't even
yeah.
know how far 32,000 feet is, but that sounds insane.
It says like 6 miles, man.
6 miles?
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, like you almost dug to the other side of the earth," or something like that.
Yeah. How deep is the Earth's crust?
Probably like 7 miles.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up right now. The Earth's crust is the thickest says 46 miles deep. So that's a pretty good, decent digging. And you know what? They get that far, and what do they find but the mole men? And they look just like, you know, they've got the big bald heads. They're definitely a little scary looking, I guess.
Whoever played him was pretty good. They did make it kind of creepy, but
That was John Errolson. He won an Oscar for the role, actually.
really.
No, man. I wish.
Ah.
Aha, gotcha. I wish that, you know, this guy was recognized. They put in some freaking time and some good old acting, some character acting, especially later on, as we'll get to. They're not well received. The townspeople are freaking out and they're in trouble like the whole movie.
No, totally. Like I think when we get to that part, it just says a lot about how the public reacts to things they're afraid of.
Yeah, you know, the moment aren't well received, which is unfortunate because having lived in the center of the earth, they probably have a lot of good ideas, good recipes, but people start freaking out and things escalate pretty quickly. Real quick, I just wanted to, at one point, Lois is like screaming because she sees one of the mole men in her window, which admittedly is pretty creepy. Like they just kind of wander around lost, I think, more than anything.
Yeah,
And
totally.
yeah, and they just end up in like a little kid's bedroom, like rarely places they shouldn't be. So Lois screams, and then Clark just like is like, "Oh shit, gotta go," and just like jogs away. I thought you could at least like maybe give him like super speed or something like that, but he's totally, if she is getting kidnapped, he's not trying his hardest, you know?
Yeah, like I don't know the first movie where like Superman has like heat vision or any of the other powers, because for most of this movie he doesn't even punch anyone this whole movie, you know?
No, he does bend a gun at one point, I think.
Yeah, that's like the height of everything he does. Oh no, he picks that guy up
Oh
by the
yeah,
belt buckle.
gives him a big old wedgie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. He does. This power level of Superman is like hella weak. Like I think I could take him if I had just a little bit of kryptonite. Easy.
Yeah, like put it this way, like top Superman would be able to hear the moment the second that they walked out of the tunnel, you know, like he would have been like, oh hey, there's those mole men that I heard from like a mile away or something like that.
At the very least, once he figured out that there was mole men, he'd be able to find them pretty quick because it's not like they're disguised. In fact, they're the opposite of that. They're freaking super easy to spot. It's the middle of the day. And they're just like I said, running around in alleyways and stuff like that. Just fly up top and use your supervision. But he doesn't have any of that. He does fly, but just from like point A to point B.
And it's the coolest like 50s effect ever.
Yeah, it's like a cutaway, right? And then it's just like him looking down from the sky, but you don't even get to see his body.
Dude, it's like 12 feet
Yeah,
like from the ground. Like
yeah, it is.
like he's flying over a mob and they're like, you know, like 6 feet underneath him, dude.
Which would be pretty crazy if you were the mob, right? And you looked up and oh, what the? There's just a guy right above you.
Yeah, right.
Superman's
flying like 15 miles an hour.
Superman's package just like hits you in the side of the face. Smack, knock you out, man.
Slapped.
Anyways, Superman, that's all I'm saying is he's lower level power. He doesn't, run super fast, but when he does figure out that there is mole men and he figures out really fast that the cops are idiots, they're just like trying to kill people like they are in every movie ever made. And worse than anything, of course, they're country cops too, right? So we don't even believe anything you got to say, city slicker. Like go back to Metropolis.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe when Lois is like asked about what happened by this old timey sheriff.
Yeah, she tells him, and he's just like, yeah, you're seeing things, dude.
He's like, it might be 1950, but it's 1850 to me.
Exactly. Men always 100 years behind. So anyways, so there's that. And the one guy that's helpful to him though is like the guy I was talking about earlier with the cowboy hat. He like shows samples and they're all glowing and stuff, like they're radioactive. And I was just like thinking, man, if that stuff is radioactive, every single person that they've shown on this film is gonna die.
Well, I mean, Corrigan's all like, it's hotter than a fireman helmet. That's what he says about the samples. Like the one that's glowing like the most, he's like,
oh, well,
hotter than a fireman helmet.
There you go. That fireman helmet, it's gonna be hot, man.
That good old 50s metaphors.
One thing also that they mentioned that was super funny, I think Clark actually mentions it, is that he's like, oh man, these mole men probably came from the hollow center of the earth, which made me think, did everyone in 1951 think that the earth was hollow?
Ooh, I would have. Hollow earth or forever.
You currently are a hollow earther?
Hollow earther, yep. You heard it right here. The start of a movement.
Oh man, what's worse, being a hollow earther or a flat earther?
The flat earthers, dude, they're the worst. Like, the world is obviously round. Where would the hollow core go?
You're right. Unless it was like a pizza crust, what I mean, like a stuffed crust. It's open and with
like
flat.
A donut.
No, yes, like a donut. Yep.
Nah, the donut earthers completely different. Nah, dude, hollow earthers. There's mole men there, and one day we can coexist with them.
And the mole men, like I said,
couldn't do it in 1950 though.
Nah, that was too far back, man. Honestly, let's be real here. Me and you are walking down the street, and we see a mole man, Oh, what are we doing? We're not going, oh, well, let's try to talk to this thing. Let's see what's going on. I'm freaking the fuck out.
I'm minding
And
my own business, dude.
no, that's bullshit, dude.
Dude, people do all sorts of crazy things today, man. Like, all I'm thinking is somebody's out there with their phone right now, and they're about to mess with me.
I'm definitely, I'm not saying I'm going to go talk or beat the shit out of this mole man. What I'm saying is that I'm going to go turn around and walk the other way. You know what I mean? I guess that's minding my own business. That's my way of doing it. But I'm definitely not just welcoming the guy into my house to have a little study. I'm not going to be the first one to do it, at least. I'll have someone else do it.
Yeah, man. Imagine being the first human to encounter the mole man.
I think that'd be pretty cool.
I think it'd be more like E.T.
They don't speak, right? Superman could just get what they meant by sign language. There was like one point where Superman has taken one of the mole men into the hospital.
And then the people shoot him off a bridge. Superman's just like, whoosh, I got you.
Yeah, the people are so terrible in this movie. The whole town just turns into a giant angry mob. It's like
there's this guy Benson, and he's like just pushing it, man. Like everybody's all hyping Benson up. He's hyping them up. There's a lot of hate going around for the mole man.
A lot of hate. People are scared. They're accusing him of all kinds of shit. No matter what Clark says, because he's mainly acting as Clark half the time in this movie. No one cares. He's just some reporter from out of town. So they're just like, you know what? Let us handle our business, and you'll handle yours by getting out of town. It's real. Mob rule's real. This movie, it proves it. In case you were wondering, it just seems like super realistic. And I was seeing online that it's also like a lot of people look at this movie as an example of the Red Scare in the 50s and everyone just being scared of communists, which is funny because like these mole men, they might be communists, they might not, but they're definitely not American. So let's fucking get them.
What's that Twilight Zone episode? It's the one where like the whole neighborhood starts like turning on each other.
It's like what happened on
Mulberry Street. What happened on Rainy Street? Is it Rainy Street?
I think I'm gonna say Mulberry.
It's one of those two, because those like I think it might be Mulberry, but either way,
same deal, right? Like,
yeah,
people think that there's some aliens or something like that, and they're trying to go kill them.
Yeah, like I was wondering, do you think this is the first superhero movie that has like social commentary?
I definitely think so. Let's put it this way. We watched 2 previous movies before this. So this is still only 1951, right? And the other 2 were mainly just, bad guy versus good guy. And this has definitely the feeling of like, who is the villain? Oh, the villain's the crowd, right? It's the everyday people.
Being that this movie was from 1951, I did not expect it to go the way that it did, but it made sense.
Yeah, what do you think was going to happen?
I thought it was going to be Superman bashing on some mole men like the entire movie.
Yeah, honestly, I thought so too. I thought Superman was going to come in. I mean, because they make the mole men look like villains to begin with.
Yeah, like they fool the whole town. They fool me. Like I am the crowd.
Exactly. Yeah. And Superman, instead of freaking punching these mole men into space, he's like defending them, and he calls the crowd out on their bullshit time and time again, basically just trying to get them to calm down, and they refuse.
At one point he tells them to stop acting like Nazis.
Yeah, exactly. And that was crazy because literally the war was just a few years back. These townspeople probably, in theory, at least a few of them fought in the war. And then to be like, hey, don't be Nazis, man, that's crazy.
Right? Like, it makes me wonder if, like, society has always been that way. Like, I was watching it and it seemed like so relevant now. You know what I mean? The way that the internet has kind of like incited mob violence, mob justice, and how back then it was like a lot of the same things was going on.
Yeah, exactly. It's tough. we weren't there. We don't understand how scared people really were of communism. But
Totally.
if
I
this
mean,
is
enough to turn on their neighbors.
enough to turn on the mole man,
Enough to turn on the mole man.
with no probable cause. Oh, well, that one dude dies, but he dies of just being scared, huh?
Yeah, he got scared to death.
Yeah, when he was
Pop
old.
Shannon.
Pops, dude. If your name is Pops and you're in a movie or TV show, your life expectancy is very low. In fact, it'll probably be over in, if it's a TV show, maybe that episode. In the movie, maybe the first 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad to see. Superman, though, he bends the gun, he gives that dude a wedgie. They're scared of him a little bit, but more than anything, it seems like they're almost down to like whoop Superman's ass too, or at least try. And which is crazy. Like, they obviously know who he is. They know how strong he is. But
dude, yeah. Wait a minute. Hold on. Remember when Benson goes to the hospital, right? He's going to go to the hospital to go get the mole man. And then the sheriff comes up to the mob and he's all like, hey, you're under arrest. And this fool just decks him in the face, dude.
Yeah.
Just punches him square in the jaw. And like the crowd takes him away.
Yeah, it's crazy out there, man. Like you said, they start chasing the mole man and they end up shooting one. Like, he's on like a dam, isn't he? And they shoot him off of it. Bam. And then the other dude, the other mole man runs into a little shack and they light that shit on fire and they kill him, right?
Yeah, well, they attempt to light it on fire and kill him. Like, that's the plan. Like, I mean, he gets away.
He gets away.
He gets away, goes back into the hole, and then he brings the mole man back up to the top. Only this time, they're strapped up with that big death ray.
That's right. See, I thought he died. I was like, whoa, this is dark, man.
Nah, he was like, man, like, all these people up here, like, they shot my friend. They're trying to burn me alive. Like, they're gonna come down here. We gotta go up there and stop them from coming down here.
Yeah, if you're gonna burn something alive, doesn't matter what it is, that's like next level cruelty, man.
That's crazy.
And this dude's like not even a big, like, he's a mole man. It's in the name. He's tiny. Moles are not big, and they're just like ready to kill it.
Who are some like villains that like burn shit that you can think of?
Burn shit. There's a guy in
like
DC called Firefly. I think he's like a Batman villain traditionally, and he has like a black spandex latex suit, right? And he has like napalm flamethrowers.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
I think he's been in some stuff. And then who else uses fire? That's a villain. The dude from X-Men. I think his name's Pyro. He was in the movies.
Yeah, he's like the one where he needs like a lighter to like use. He's like all bummed out.
Got a Zippo, you know what I mean? At all times.
Armed with his trusty Zippo lighter.
Yeah, dude, it won't blow out in the wind.
Oh man.
Yeah, and then that's all I can think of off the top of my head. There's obviously the Human Torch on Fantastic Four, who's a hero. He's not burning anyone alive, even though I don't know how he doesn't do that.
Well, he's not burning any humans alive.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe he's burnt like I don't know,
an alien or something.
There's a mole man villain in Fantastic Four who commands, I think they're called moloids. It's like an underground people that are like deaf and dumb and subservient to him. And I think he's probably burnt some of them alive, to be honest. If we're being real here, you know what I mean? Back in the 60s when the first Fantastic Four comics were coming out, I'm sure if it was not human, it was like fair game.
Yeah. Did you ever see American Horror Story Coven when they like burn that lady alive?
Yeah. That was a good
Messed
season.
up, dude.
Yeah. Not fun, man. Not fun. Not cool. Not that killing anyone anyway is fun, but I would say burning things is going to be the least amount of fun.
That's like Oz episode 1.
They do in Oz, HBO
Dino
show
Orlani,
Oz.
man.
Tito Orlani. Or no, Dino.
Dino, yeah.
Dino Orlani. Yeah. I mean, he was ready to die though. But
that's a whole different story. That's a whole different timeline.
Yeah, that is a different timeline. Anyways, back to the show. Back to the show. Superman versus the Mole Man. This Mole Man makes it out, like you said, and he goes back down, gets his homies. They get the gun. They're going to just go freaking take that gat and blast everyone, but Superman confronts them, is able to like speak to them.
That's what the sign language thing happens.
Language, yeah. Superman, being who he is, knows sign language, and he is able to communicate with them like, oh, no, your homie's not dead. I saved him. Just give me a shot, right? Like, don't freaking kill.
Meanwhile, Benson's creeping while Superman is going to go get the homie. Benson's creeping around the shadows like he's gonna kill these mole men. But right before he can shoot him, they catch him and then they blast him with their crazy 50s death ray.
Yeah, and like we said earlier, it doesn't actually do death. It just does pain. It's a 50s pain ray.
Yeah, there you go.
And pain ray. Yeah, like Superman isn't affected by it, right? Like he just like steps in front of it and he's like, yo, dog, that tickles. Stop.
Dude, the hardest line is he's all like, oh, Superman, you saved my life. And he's like, that's more than you deserve.
Yeah, I do remember that. And that's true. That guy was just a total dick the entire movie, man. He did nothing right, selfish. Honestly, needs to deal with his own issues instead of projecting them into the world like that.
The worst thing about him, like Superman tells him when he's like giving him that crazy wedgie, he's like, it's men like you that make it difficult for people to understand one another. And I was like, that's what's going on today.
Yeah, man, put that on a t-shirt and sell it because it's true, man. Honestly, there's a lot of connections. And, we think of the 50s as this like very like obviously segregated still area of our time and our history. But obviously there was some kind of idea of trying to bring people together in one way or another, going around with some people. And it would make sense that a character is honestly like wholesome, red, white, and blue, as Superman is supposed to be, would be, touting those beliefs.
Yeah, like what was so cool about this iteration of Superman was that like his heroism is achieved more through his character and his willingness to like be patient and be accepting and like just sort of try to coexist, whereas like the true villain is Benson and the people that follow him. Like, what are henchmen if not people just manipulated by like a central figure?
Yeah, totally. I mean, he said he doesn't really do a lot, right? He saves the one guy from dying, the one mole man from dying. He stops the people. Like at one point they like all crowd around him and shoot him, and we learn that he is bulletproof, which thank God for that. And he bends the guns. I think he gives that dude a wedgie, saves his life technically, and then that's it. He, like you said, he's just mainly like patient, just like playing the sidelines. It's almost like he doesn't want to get too involved. He really just hopes that like everyone will come to their senses and can get along.
Yeah, it's like an episode of King of the Hill where it's just like Hank fixes everything.
Yeah, slowly and surely.
Yeah. Like like it's crazy to see that like Superman as we know today, like I said, when I first was watching the movie, I assumed it was just going to be Superman whooping on some mole men for like an hour.
America. It was like propaganda, right?
Yeah, I was totally expecting like some truth, justice in the American way bullshit, but like it was cool because I was like pleasantly surprised that my preconceived notions were incorrect. Like Superman is just a good person. Like that's his superpower in this movie. He's just the one person that can make sense of everybody's like fear.
Yeah, and that is Superman though. That's who Superman should be. He should be a good person. Anytime you try to make, I feel like nowadays you have a lot of times where they make Superman go through this dilemma. That's the villain in most Superman movies, is him coming to terms with the world not being black and white. and oh no, well, what about this or what about that? Blah blah blah. Really, I think Superman, obviously he deals with those issues. Any hero, superhero would. We all do. But I think ultimately, like you said, he's a good person. I think he should always know, like, nah, man, this is the right way to do it. This is the right path.
Yeah, totally. Like, I think it's simple in this story, because it's a story that's so close to the roots of society. Like, it's so low in its scale. Like, we never see Superman interacting with the government. We never see Superman interacting with like world politics, but we just see a localized version of Superman. You know what I mean? And I think it's later on when the story kind of goes on, like people, like you say, kind of like give him this dilemma, and those dilemmas are usually much bigger scale problems, because it's easy to be a good person like on a small scale, but when you have like the entire fate of the world or like the fate of other worlds, I guess it does well, obviously it would get more complicated.
Yeah. Is Superman better than when he is small scale? I almost feel like he is, like when he's just dealing with everyday problems rather than like world problems.
Well, yeah, like there's that famous like radio show where they have Superman like fighting the Nazis, and they kind of use this or no, they have him fighting the KKK. I'm sorry. So they have Superman
Same
fighting.
thing.
Yeah. So they have him fighting him, right? And what happens is they're trying to use that radio show as like a propaganda against the Ku Klux Klan in the area, because you have the children being like, yeah, the KKK is stupid, Superman's beating them up, and their parents are like in the KKK, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like I think it's something that we're more able to relate to, because it's like happening on our world, you know what I mean, in our everyday world. And I think that was kind of more of the tone of like movies in that time period of the 50s. And Superman is really just there to say like, hey, like this is like, we didn't do all of these things just so all of you could like fight and like become monsters and like, all this other stuff.
Yeah. Bring it back, man. I'm so tired of Superman fighting giant space villains. I get it. Like that's DC can do it with their CGI, and supposedly they think that that's what people want. But honestly, you could give me like a Superman maybe TV show with half the budget, and just make it smaller scale. It doesn't even have to be like in Metropolis. Did you ever watch Smallville when you were younger?
No, I never did.
I watched every episode of that show. In fact, I owned a bunch of the seasons when I was younger on DVD, and it was great. Like he's just a high schooler for the first few seasons. When he actually gets older, it gets a little wackier, and I was just a diehard fan. I'm sure on a rewatch it wouldn't be as great, but having him just deal with like these random villains that were just in town, or like some high school football plot where they're like all using something to make them get superpowers, shit like that,
Yeah.
It was fun. It's fun to watch, man. It's enjoyable. I think Superman should be very chill,
Like low
lighthearted.
key, right?
Yeah.
More low
Yeah.
key. Like was Smallville, was that Clark's decision to be low key at that point? And that was like,
Well,
was that defining of his character in that story?
he's trying to be low key the entire time. He doesn't
Okay.
even really want to be. He's not Superman yet, right? He's just chilling.
Right.
He like in the very beginning, Lex Luthor is also, he's like in his early 20s, so a little bit cool older friend. And he gets in a car accident and Clark saves him. And Clark does that and does it secretly, right? But Lex is still living in Smallville, and he becomes obsessed with like who saved him. And that's kind of how their friendship develops and their like background. But beyond that, he's like just going to high school and like he wants to be on the football team, but he can't because he's too strong. You know what I mean? And shit like that.
Yeah.
Like that's literally what an episode is at one point.
Dang.
And it has his mom and dad, and they're super into it and involved. And I don't know. Actually, I think talking about this might inspire me to rewatch because I have a lot of fond memories from it. It was just very chill TV, network TV. It was on the WB before it was a CW, and it was good, man.
Yeah, man. I might give it a watch. I check it out.
Yeah, I don't know what it's streaming on, to be completely honest with you. There's probably not a lot of people demanding it, you know what I mean? But it has like 9 seasons, it went on for a long time. And that guy, I think
that's a lot of episodes.
It is, and they're like 45 minutes long, so it's a commitment. Yeah. Tom Welling, I think that was his name. He's a decent Clark. He's like a big, tall, chiseled guy. So it was enough to pass it. And he doesn't fly, and he doesn't wear a costume. He's just wearing like pants and a flannel the entire show. And
it's 1992, right?
No, it's like the early 2000s.
Oh, early 2000s. Okay.
Yeah. And he just has super speed, which is just a blur animation. You know what I mean? That they use. But
yeah,
it's
good. All blurs.
It's good enough. I think there's a sound. Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. Some kind of fast chafing movement.
Yeah. You've seen a lot of Superman stuff, right? Like,
I mean, people like to shit on Superman as like, oh, he's so OP, he's not enjoyable. Like it's just like not fun to watch anything because he's so boring. That's what it is. But honestly, it's just to me, Superman is just good. It should be good quality sci-fi. I want him to be facing science villains and stuff like that. Robots and cyborgs and evil, like Lex Luthor, man. He's the ultimate science villain. He invents things to try to get power. And that's really what it should be. I mean, he's an alien, so obviously there's got to be aliens, but you don't have to have him, like saving the world and so edgy and angry and angsty and all this stuff, which is definitely the direction that I feel like DC is going in now with their current movies.
Yeah, like I haven't seen the Superman movies that led up to Batman versus Superman.
There was Man of Steel. That was the one. And it's boring, man. We'll watch it, obviously for the sake of the pod, we will go to that timeline because it's worth, just watching, seeing what it is.
Yeah.
It's what's his face, that big dude, the director that does all of them, Zack Snyder. I believe he did Man of Steel. That was like his first foray into DC. And it's just like, he's super powerful. I feel like that's like the main thing is that like you don't even have to make Superman, like I said, fly, just make him jump really crazy. That's cool. If you limit him, I don't want him to be able to literally move the moon if he needs to. I want him just to be able to, if he punches, like he can stop a train if he needs to, but when he's done stopping that train, the homie's like, I got to get out of here because I am whooped, That was it. It took me out, and because of that, he's not super strong and all that, super powerful, I guess is what I should say. It allows like Clark to be a little more into it because that's another thing that I feel like they're doing where like Clark Kent is the secret identity. Like that's the fake one. Really, he's Kal-El of Krypton Superman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, it just doesn't make sense to me. Where does that all go? You were raised as Clark for your entire life until you found out these things. That's how it always goes, right? Like they reveal when he gets puberty basically and develops powers. So that part of your personality, that identity doesn't just go away. That's who you are, man. Edge Lord Superman has no place in my heart.
I think I agree. Like, because the 1950s Superman that we just saw, right? Like, it seems to be built in with this standard that nobody is stronger than Superman. Like, that's the whole point. Like, he's the strongest. Like, nobody's stronger than him, right?
Yeah.
But at some point, right, there's, like you say, it's a lot of like the alien stuff. Like, I remember watching the the cartoon, and there's like Lobo and Darkseid, and there's like people that can go like toe to toe with them, and then there's like oh my goodness, like who is he fighting that one movie? It's like the animated movie. I think we saw it one time.
Doomsday.
Doomsday, yeah, he's in the new live action movies and stuff. But yeah, like I think there's like a different sort of focus there yet, right? Like if Superman is stronger than everybody, and like if he kills anybody that isn't an alien, like just a human on Earth, then it makes everything a lot more messed up. But the aliens are kind of like, I guess, the writing convenience of being able to
Whoop some ass.
To whoop some ass, exactly.
Yeah, I get it. Like I'm cool with that. I'm cool with there being strong ass villains. Like he needs that because he is way stronger than any human. But it's just like when they take the fun out of him, man. I think Superman, he wants to go save the world because that's who he is, because he's a good person. And then he definitely still though wants to like take Lois out for pasta later though. You know what I mean? That's just as important to him. That's where he's different from Batman, right? Where Bruce Wayne really is fake. Like it is just Batman. Mm-hmm. Instead, I think it's the opposite. Clark is really the person and Superman. Yeah. At least that's how it should be.
Yeah. It's like Bruce is a human being that wants to be more than a human being to fix everything. You know what I mean? And Superman is a person that can fix everything, that wants to be a human being. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and George Reeves, mind blown. George Reeves, like we said, is he's great in this role. I liked him because he was a good Clark. You know what I mean? When it looked great, it felt right. And he ended up, this Mole Man movie can be thought of as like a pilot for the TV show he was on from 1952 to 1958, which is called Adventures of Superman.
Man, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, I don't know. From what I saw, like this is where we get into like the weirdness of him, George Reeves. A little side plot here. George Reeves grows dissatisfied with playing Superman because that's all anyone sees him as, right? Yeah. He just wants to be a different role. It's that classic sad actor shit where they're like,
didn't that happen to Adam West too?
Probably, man. Everyone wanted to be Batman. Anyway, so George, we'll get to Adam West. We'll get to him soon. George, though, he finds that every role is Superman, right? But he is at least still getting things, I guess. But anyways, one night he's with some people. I don't know who. I believe one of them was maybe a lover or something like that, some friends. Basically, they've been chilling, drinking, and the story goes that he went down to confront them. I think they were being loud or something like that. They were partying, and he was like, I'm trying to sleep, freaking out. And he freaked out to them, then stayed down there a little bit, and then goes back upstairs angry again. And then a little while later, they hear a gunshot, and they go up, and he shot himself in the head.
What?
Yes. So here's the thing. I know.
So lame.
Here's the thing with the story, though. Number one, he was found dead, but his fingerprints weren't on the gun.
What?
There was no gunpowder residue found on his hands. There was multiple bullets found at the scene, but everyone downstairs said that they only heard one shot. And none of that adds up, man.
Dang.
None of that does.
Wild, man.
But the police just ruled it as a suicide.
You think there's probably like all kinds of movies on like the cold case?
Well, there's one big movie. I'll get to that in a second. So hold on.
Okay.
So people think it's murder, obviously. There's a couple theories. There's obviously people who think he did kill himself because he was depressed, sad. There's another theory, though, where one of the people down below who was angry with him at the time or something like that killed him. And then there's one thing where
he had a long-term affair with this one woman who was, I believe, the ex-wife, or also having an affair with a movie producer or something like that. I can't remember the guy's name. And that movie guy had connections to the mob. So, or alleged connections, right? To the mob. So they think that's another possibility, is that someone came in and assassinated him, basically.
What?
Yeah, but people don't know. They never will. No one ever was prosecuted. So
That's crazy, man.
There was a movie that came out in, I think, 2008-ish, something around that time, maybe 2006 to 2008, called Hollywoodland. Okay.
Mhm.
And the movie is George Reeves is the main. It's about this whole thing. They end up showing you like all three, possibilities at the end of what happened, because it is ultimately a mystery. Who do you think plays George Reeves?
Don't tell me his son plays him.
No. It's someone.
Like 2008.
It's someone like, okay, I'm not going to give you a hint, but I'm just going to say, like, this guy's been in other movies, superhero movies before. And what else? That's a hint.
Christian Bale.
No, that's a good guess, though. That's a good guess. You want
Christian
me to
Bale
tell
can
you?
play anyone, dude. Yeah.
Ben Affleck, man.
What?
Yeah, Ben Affleck is George Reeves, who is Superman. So technically, in my eyes, Ben Affleck has played both Batman and Superman and Daredevil.
Ben Affleck, man. It's not fair.
It's not, considering he's with like J-Lo right now. No, it's not fair, man. He's gotten to do everything in the world.
Dang, that's crazy, man. Like, good for him, though.
Yeah, good for him, living his best life. But yeah, isn't that wild, man?
Yeah, no, dude, that whole story is nuts, man. Imagine being a mobster and like the guy tells you like, hey, you got to go kill Superman.
That's true. I didn't think about that. That's a fucked up thing to tell someone.
Right? Like, dude, you got to go kill Superman, dude. Like, that's wild, man. Like, I don't know. It's sad, dude. That's a really sad way to go, man. Dude was just trying to sleep, then he got murked.
Yeah, I think he got murdered. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Nah, dude. Nah. How, like, man, I don't know. Like, it, like, he must have. There's no way, dude. There's no way. I'm trying to find a way that, like, maybe, but nah, that's murder, dude.
Murder, She Wrote, dude.
Yep. Mm-hmm. It's
murder. Yeah, I don't think that he would kill himself, because I think that, he was still going to make money, man. I think money is more important, to this guy than anything else. At least, and you're Superman, at least it could be worse.
You don't think it was some other reason? Like, you think, man, like, it couldn't have been depression, man. Like, you're right. Like, there had to be something else going on, man.
Yeah.
Well, it could. I gotta watch that movie. I need to know.
Yeah, like, I'm not discounting that he was probably depressed, and I totally think he was. I think if someone told me for the rest of my life I could only do one thing, because that's all anyone wanted, I would be pretty fucking sad too. Unless that one thing was like eating Cheetos or something like that, right?
Oh, dude, I could eat some Cheetos.
All right,
like,
now
all day.
Yeah.
For the rest of my life.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that, like, that's totally true, but I just don't buy it. There's too many, irregularities at the scene, and it just seems like it's like, honestly, a pretty crazy story. And the fact that I feel like we don't talk about it as much as we should, is considering how popular comics are. I bet you I could ask a million fans off the street, like, hey, you know about the George Reeves, the actor that played Superman? And no one would know.
Dude, I didn't know.
Exactly. Fake fan, poser, casual, all that, all those words. Now,
yep. You caught me. Oh no.
Yeah,
now everyone knows.
And this is when the pod ends. Yeah.
I get excommunicated from nerddom for the rest of my life.
Excommunicated. You can never be the nerd king.
Yeah. Oh. Oh
The gr-
no.
They took it away, the greatest punishment that could have happened.
Not my nerd nobility.
Nerd crown.
Yeah, right. You ever see that episode of Hey Arnold where Gerald gets like super into card games?
No, I think, controversial opinion. I think Hey Arnold's super overrated.
Well,
Right. This is where the pod really ends.
In the words of Lois, I guess they're trying to say you live your life and we'll live our life.
Uh-huh. Yeah, man. And on that note, I think this is a perfect time to end the pod, man. Unless you got anything else you could say.
This movie to me is about the realities of what happens when people act on their fear more than their sense. Like at kind of towards the end in the climactic scene where Lois and Corrigan are standing in front of the hospital to stop Benson from coming in. Lois, and more merit to Lois, you know what I mean? Like she just like stands up in front of this dude and she's like, nah, like I'm not gonna move. And he like, he tries to like grab her and pull her out of the way, and she just calls him a dirty coward. And like
They almost shoot her.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, that's right. He shoots at her, and then that's when Superman's like, hey, like I can't trust you to have guns, so I'm gonna take them away. You know, and like all of these things are just like are just brought out of being afraid of the people around you. And I think, what made me really kind of upset watching it was that like maybe things had changed after that, but I feel like we're back to square one with everything that's going on. So moral of the story, I would just say like, learn to coexist, man. Like all hippy dippy.
I know. Slap that
Peace
on a
and
bumper
love.
sticker and sell it to those Subaru owners around the world.
Sponsor a
Coexist.
Subaru.
Yeah. Get me a car.
Please.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself, man. All right. Well, until next time, I'm John.
I'm Connor.
And we are off timeline.